Do you believe in skinwalkers? In the things that can imitate the people you love? Maybe it's best not to know, but whatever you do, stay away from the shadows. A year ago, I left England for a summer adventure. I was searching for something, maybe work, maybe just a change. What I found, however, was something I never could have imagined, something that still haunts me to this day. It all began in the vast, desolate land of the Navajo Nation in New Mexico. I had just landed after a long, stressful journey, hitchhiking across the USA until I finally stumbled across a farm. The farmer, a quiet man, offered me a place to stay and work. But what I didn't know was that the real horror didn't come from the work, or the heat, or even the isolation. It came from within. The cabin I was to stay in was little more than a shed, renovated just enough to keep the elements out. It stood at the edge of a large field, with the farmer's house off in the distance. Alone in this remote place, I found a strange companion, a boy named Ahiga. He was half Native American and about my age, and although we didn't have much in common, we became close over time. Ahiga was obsessed with the stories of his people, particularly the terrifying legends of the Naldlushi, the Skinwalkers. At first, I dismissed it as folklore. After all, I wasn't one to believe in ghosts or things that go bump in the night. But the more he spoke of them, the more I couldn't ignore the growing unease that something was off. It all started one evening after a long day of hard labor. I returned to the cabin to shower and rest, but there was something strange. Ahiga hadn't come back yet. It was unusual. He was always punctual, but tonight, there was an unsettling silence. I decided to go for a walk, just to clear my mind. I wandered into the nearest town and stopped by a bar, wanting a drink to relax. When I left, the night was already thick with darkness. As I made my way back to the farm, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me, watching me. When I neared the farm, I noticed a figure near the cabin, a person I didn't recognize, carrying something under their arm. Something about the way they moved didn't seem right, so instinctively I went the long way around, hiding behind the field's fencing, trying to get a better look. As the figure stepped into the light, I could see it was Ahiga, or at least it looked like him, but something was terribly wrong. His movements were erratic, unnatural, as if he wasn't in control of his own body. And then I saw what he was carrying, a dog's severed head. I froze. My stomach churned. I watched, horrified, as he walked off into the forest. My body instinctively urged me to run, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. I waited for a moment, then darted back toward the cabin, only to trip over something heavy on the ground. I looked down. It was the rest of the dog. Its body, lifeless and cold, was lying there in the dirt. But the worst part? The thing that will stay with me forever. When I looked toward the woods, there was Ahiga again, but now he wasn't walking. He was crawling on all fours, but not like an animal. His limbs bent at unnatural angles, twisted in ways they should never bend. And then he looked at me. His face was crooked, his eyes glowing yellow, unnatural. He tried to speak, but the words were guttural, twisted like something not human. I am Ahiga. But it wasn't him. Not anymore. I ran inside the cabin, slamming the door behind me, locking every window and curtain. I sat there all night, heart pounding as strange sounds echoed from outside. Whispers, growls. The thing, Ahiga, kept calling my name, repeating the stories he'd told me, but distorted, mocking. Every time it spoke, a foul stench filled the room, something rotten, something that made me vomit. And through it all, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was still out there, staring in through the windows, waiting. By morning, the noise stopped. The thing was gone. I dared not look outside, but when I did, there was nothing. No sign of Ahiga, no sign of the creature, just the empty fields, still as death itself. I packed my things in a frantic rush, leaving everything behind. I couldn't stay there another minute. I fled to the East Coast, using every penny I earned as a farmhand to book a hotel far from that place. I got on a plane back to England the next week, and I never looked back. But to this day, I can't forget what I saw. I don't know what happened to Ahiga, or if I'll ever truly understand what I witnessed. But I'll tell you this, it was real. And sometimes, when I'm alone in the dark, I still feel as though something is watching me. But it couldn't have followed me across the ocean, could it?